Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, good evening all. As far as I can tell, is 8 o'clock, and I'm afraid you got me to put up with again today. I'll try and make a few less cock-ups than last week, but I have no parish notices to divulge, and I haven't done a great deal on the amateur radio front this week. So I'll just read out the list I have this evening. So coming up next after me, it's Russ, G4 Sierra Alpha Quebec. Then we've got Gareth, G4 XAT. Dave, G4 EEV. Looking forward to seeing you, Dave. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. Careful what you say. Number 4 is Colin, G4 KLB. Assuming you finished on SQ by now, Colin. Then we got Mike, G0MJW, then Richard, GI4DOH. And I've got Charlie Uniform 2, Echo Delta, Jacinto. Yes, you'd be very welcome, Jacinto, if you're reading me. I'll put the list up in a minute. Let's just have a quick look. David, G6GZH watching, as is Phil, XTW. Please, and soon as you are making texts. Okay, so we've got IK. Oh, this is going to be good. We've got India Kilo 1, Hotel Golf India. So good evening to you, and I'll add this to the list in just a minute. And Keith as well, GU6 EFB. Justin, G8YTZ. Are you going to join us on the net this evening, or are you just watching? Oh, maybe I'm not too sure if the Italy Kilo 1 station might be talking about an Italian net. But, oh no, he did say Martin. So I will put you on the list. Okay, but now we shall await G4 SAQ. So I hope you're okay, Russ. Hope the new Portsdown's working well. And we'll all be watching with interest. G4 SAQ to take it with the group. And after you, it's Gareth, G4 XAT, G4 Fox Kilo Kilo, standing by.
G4 Fox Kilo Kilo and the group. This is G4 SAQ. Gonna have to. Yeah, just had to mute my speakers. Sorry about that. Yeah, well, very good evening to everyone. It's nice to be back on the net. I've been off for quite a long time because I had problems with my the sound in my Windows system. And I just couldn't get to the bottom of it. I wasn't getting any output from the microphone, and in the end I used a backup that I'd got, took Windows back to November, and it all seemed to work all right again then, and installed all the updates and new drivers from then, and it was still working after all that. So I haven't got the slightest idea what it was that went wrong, but I've taken the precaution of doing another backup and creating a restore point and what have you. just in case it happens again. Anyway, so that was all working nicely, but tonight I thought I just had to try out the porch down. I have actually put it on the air once before just to test it, but I've not actually had a QSO with anyone. So obviously I'm well behind the curve with porch downs. You've all been building them for years, and I've put it off, but finally I've bitten the bullet. Anyway, I'm going to pick up my camera and show you what I've been up to. Right, very, very shaky, I'm afraid. So this is my porch down come Langstone, and I'm afraid the delay is making it very difficult for me to get the camera aligned properly. What I've done, I've built it into the case of an old Gould oscilloscope, and if I hold this back you might be able to get an idea of the case. There we are. It's a nice case. On the face of it, it's probably too big for a porch down, but I'm hoping I'm going to get a lot of other gear in there as well. So it'll be quite handy if I can actually achieve that. I must say I'm absolutely delighted with the way it works. Although I would say that I think the video is not quite as crisp as it is when I'm using a Windows system with OBS. Whether that's because this is 264 encoding instead of 265, I've absolutely no idea. But that's the situation. Right. Try and get my camera back. There we are. I think you can just about see me again now. Okay, what else have I got to tell you about? I'm hopefully going to Dayton this year. I've got a friend who lives down in Dartmouth, Dave G4IUG, and he's asked me if I'd like to go with him, so there'll be the pair of us going, which will be great fun. I've never been to Dayton before and I've always wanted to, so I've got to go and thoroughly looking forward to it. So that's enough for me for this over, and I should say, by the way, a very good evening to everyone who's watching us on the streamer. I tend to forget to say that to watch, so a very good evening to you all. And it's over to Gareth. I look forward to hearing what you've been up to, Gareth. No doubt some more excellent 3D printing. G4XAT to take it with the group. This is G4SAT.
I hear my fans. Thank you, Russ. I hear my fans. That's better. Shut that up. Thank you, Russ. This is G4XAT and the BATC Net. I know I'm still on the test card because my C920's just gone offline, so I'll launch straight in to not 3D printing, but what I was up to last week. This is my part-built son's kitchen up in Warwick. We've tiled the bit you can see with tiles on it, and we've plumbed the bit you can't see down the far end. That involved putting a stopcock into the mains feed into the house, which is fairly stressy because when you turn the mains off in the road it turns off 6 other houses, and there's no other way of stopping the water except what I fitted into our pipe. Anyway, that's all good, and he's actually got a cabinet up and it's all starting to come together. So that's what he's been doing there. I've been playing a bit with OBS, hence I've managed to find scrolling titles, and I've also taken delivery of another one of these little dongles. Now, in pursuit of a name, because the camera may well oscillate, if I pick it up and wave it around, it's a nice little camcorder somebody gave me with HDMI out on it. It's a MIDI HDMI out, so it goes through an adapter into that dongle, and Windows actually found it, and it works, thanks to Martin telling me to make it full size and fit to frame and things like that. So that is that. The other camera I've got has got my Toshiba amp on it. This, let me zoom in a bit on that. Is it going to zoom? Here we are. Okay, this is a Toshiba 40 watt amp for 3.4 gigahertz, and the pink and black wires are an improvement on the DC in to the board. Rust, the 3D printing I've done this week, I'll show on my next over. It's only a little thing, but it's very, very handy. So I'll leave it at that for the time being, and come back on my other camera next time round. Okay, round to you then, Dave. G4EEV from G4X80 and the BATC Net. Over.
Yes, good evening everybody. Nice to be back on for the second time. Hope I've got everything set right. Yes, oh yes, I must remember to put the picture on as well. I've been doing a lot of mechanical work. I'm building a 2 meter cross dipole, but I can't really show that. But what I thought I would show, last week a lot of people are interested in steam engines, so hopefully I don't bore people. There's a couple of shots here when I get them organised. But this is a view from the back window of my property in Pickering. Looks straight out over onto the railway. Pickering station's at the southern end of the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, and a few years ago they had the station roof built back on again, and to commemorate that they what have I done here? Oh, there it goes. It'll come back again, I think. I switched it twice. Rocket came, and as part of that visit, it was possible to go for a ride on onto the back of Rocket, which I duly did. And that's when I find out you don't need to put your best clothes on to go onto these things, because stood behind that smoky chimney, I'd got quite a lot of black sooty parts, so that wasn't a very good experience in that respect. Anyhow, more recently Tornado visited. I don't know if that was this year or the previous year, so that was interesting to see. This is the one of the newest steam trains in Britain, I think, if not the world. But it is I'm forgetting how old it is now, but it's the most recently built one from scratch, and recently got approval, I think, to run at 100 miles an hour on the main line. However, not to be outdone by that, it's not the fastest, or at least not the train with the history of the fastest experience, because there is another train, another engine that beats this one, and that is Sir Nigel Gresley, which had the post-war speed record. I think it's about 112 miles an hour. So anyway, for those that are interested, and hopefully I've not bored those that are not. So back to me again. Anyhow, there's a lot on tonight, so we'll pass it straight round to Colin. over to you, Colin. G4KLB from G4EEV.
Okay, thanks a lot. That came round a bit quick, didn't it? My go. I thought I had time. I was in the middle of doing some other little thing there. I didn't have time to check the list. Yeah. Oh no, you're right. It was it was me. Okay. Anyway, very good evening. Yeah, very interested to see these other stations. Well, I had hoped that would have happened actually, but it seems to be often just sort of UK type of stations on here, but that was not really the intention. The idea on QO100 is to have people from all areas, so I'm looking forward to seeing a few extras. We have had a few, but not as many as I would have liked to have seen, so that's all very good indeed. Okay, I haven't, well, I say I haven't been up to much. That's not strictly true. I've been up to an awful lot really, but not so much radio related, more domestic bits and pieces. Been far too busy actually, far too busy. We've done little bits and pieces here, but nothing worth nothing worth showing. I'd had a little go at trying to get an input to the Raspberry Pi camera on one of the ports downs actually. Oh, that one up there, yeah. But that hasn't proved to be too successful. But I've had some ideas. People have shared a few ideas, so having a little look at that. There was someone mentioned something on the forum regarding, you know, due to the difficulty in obtaining the EasyCap of the right type. There are other EasyCaps that will work, but it's a bit of a lottery as to which one you get. The ones that do work are not actually the right. They're not exactly the same as the ones the BATC were originally supplying, but there we are. Okay then. All right. Okay. I'm just seeing what's on the chat there. That's right. Yeah. Well, just pictures is fine. We're not bothered at all really. Have to get those subtitles things working. When we get the subtitle translator going, that would be we could have a bit of fun with that, couldn't we? That could be a bit of fun. We will have to have a go at that at some point. So there we go. But yeah, nothing really to show apart from big heat sinks and things like that. But I've actually moved them out of my path because I kept tripping over it. So I've moved them into the other room. But very good. I have done one thing today, a bit of a rash move. I have upgraded the PC to Windows 11, which I hasn't planned to do straight away, but it was offered to me on this main PC, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to take the plunge at some point. So far, so good. The big fear when you get a new OS is that a load of your amateur radio stuff is going to not work. But so far, everything seems to be okay. I didn't go in completely cold. I did have Windows 11 on a laptop, and I tried the main programs on that, and I got away with it. So we've done that. Okay then. So there's quite a few on, so I'm going to disappear now. So over to Mike. G0MJW to take it. G4KLB.
Gosh, my turn already. Hi everyone. So I was going to do a demo of this thing, but I haven't quite got the software working yet. I suspect it's a hardware to find out what it is. But anyway, that wouldn't be all that interesting. And there are plenty of other things to talk about. So it's a pity Roger isn't on. I was hoping it would be, because we've been having a discussion around CNC, which is one thing I was going to talk about. The other thing is, it's sorry to hear that Jim isn't well, because that means he won't be watching. And I was going to demonstrate the that I got from him. So this is it, and it might be better if I just a second. See it? Down a bit. There you go, Tim. Hopefully that's sufficient. So that probably means no one will have seen the recording of the thing going off. So I'll just go back to the other camera. And do it again. Switch the power on. There you go. Oh, it's a bit more power this time, minus 38. And if I go to the camera that's looking at it, you can see there is no smoke emanating. It's producing that power. Now that doesn't really help you very much. I'm going to turn it off again because I haven't got a fan on it or anything like that. But it doesn't get warm. You've got to be careful, by the way. I'm keeping away from it. Got to watch out for RF at these frequencies. That was that thing. There is 86 dB of attenuation in between the power meter and the amplifier, because the power meter is a very sensitive one. It's a diode detector. Its maximum signal is minus 20 dBm. So that gives you an idea of how much power there is. And those of you who are good at maths will be able to tell us on the next over what that power is. The other thing is, and this is why I was hoping Roger was here, is if I go back to this camera, we were talking about CNC, and there was some discussion about getting a CNC machine, and Roger suggested, oops, I go for one of these just to play with them and see if they're any good. And there it is, and it arrived incredibly quickly. It's one of these very cheap Chinese CNC machines. It took, what, an hour and a half to set up and to assemble. And, well, it moves left and right, up and down and backwards and forwards. I haven't got any further than that, but there you go. So I'll let you know how I get on with that. I'm not expecting anything, because that was £143 delivered. So, yeah, it's probably rubbish. And the only other thing is the boxes. So let me just go to the boxes very, very quickly, because that'll mean that I don't have to say anything else for the rest of the day. Down here on the floor next to the Hacker is one of these boxes that Colin was showing us last week. It is a very useful box, and I don't mean the plastic ones. It's quite big. It's about 1 foot or so wide by about 15 inches long, and it's mostly heatsink, but there's a cavity underneath for putting amplifiers and things, ideal for building an amplifier into. Right, so that's by far too much of me. I've got to work out who to pass it to. It goes off to Richard, GI4DOH. So add to you, Richard, and sorry for being a bit long, G0MJW.
G0MJW is the group GI4DOH. Good evening all. You were very quick at the end there, Mike. It sort of caught me daydreaming. I was just thinking about milling machines or CNC machine. Do I need one? And no, I've got enough on my my plate at the moment. Yeah, Martin, you're doing a great job. You're settling into this role very well, and obviously a natural for the job and a good. I made a couple of notes as I was doing things there. Russ, that's a neat looking unit with the ports down, everything nicely laid out in the. I think you said you'd repurposed the box. And Dayton, I'd love to go to Dayton. I've managed Friedrichshafen a number of times before, and hope indeed to do so again this year. And the GMDX convention in Stirling has just been announced, and I just booked for that. I actually managed to get the last seat on the only flight into Glasgow Airport from Belfast that morning. So a word of warning for people that are looking for flights. I guess with the easing of things, people are starting to go places again, and I'm sure the airlines will take their time and not have any spare capacity. So what else was I going to waffle about? My notes. Gareth, looking at the domestic appliances there, my washing machine packed in last Saturday, so the time it takes to source a new washing machine, collect it, get it in, and all the rest, it was practically a whole day not spent on radio, but that's the way it goes. And Dave, I'm not sure whether we've met on Q100 before. I think it's the first time, so nice to meet you, and I think you'll find there are plenty of fellow steam enthusiasts in the radio fraternity. Certainly I enjoyed all the years where I lived over in the mainland with the various things. I lived in Poole, close to the Swanage Railway, and I lived in Painton with the Painton and Dartmouth, the Dart Valley, and all the rest. And then Chippenham, where it wasn't too far away from a number of choices, including Swindon and Cricklade. I think I'm a shareholder of the GWR for its what it's worth. And Colin, good to see it. You're busy. Well, you know, this is how life is. I know I certainly don't get bored. Not always doing what I want to do, but there's plenty to keep me going. Last week I asked about spectrum analyzers, and I'm new to this TV lark, and it was an interesting mixture of comments and all the rest. There weren't any overly strong recommendations or any adverse comments about any particular choice. So I went for this one. It's an Owen, supposedly up to 3.6 gigahertz, and indeed I'm still learning the ins and outs of it. But I think you'll find those shoulders are somewhat higher than they should be. But in all my my efforts, so I'm just checking, do I have sound with this camera? I swapped, or I thought I would check my amplifiers because I have two of them. That's the other one which I've been using for weeks and weeks and weeks. Suddenly dropped its output by about 20 dB, so I had to change over to the spare. Fortunately, I had a spare, and because I've been busy on other things, I haven't got around to it. It may be just a connection on it. I think the little connectors for the bias on it are a wee bit dodgy. I don't think that's the one with the delicate resistors for the bias, but I can't remember. I have to open it up and look into it. It's not going to be a 5-minute job, but I'm very pleased with this. It arrived on Monday, amazingly. So I haven't had much time to look at it, and I don't know a lot about spectrum analyzers, so plenty to keep me going amongst other things. So enough for me from this round. Now I get the short straw, and I just have to take a guess at passing it on to Jacinto, or you will no doubt educate us on this down to the Azores with CU2ED. This is
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for letting me be here, part of the BATC Net. It's really exciting, and one thing I wanted to do a long time ago, but due to some situations in my private life last year, time for the hobby was really zero. So this new year, some things change, and I have some free time, special today. But first of all, let me introducing myself. So my name is Jacinto. My call sign and the KTH locator is in the screen. I live in St. Michael Island. It's the second and biggest island of Azores in Portugal. If you put the KTH locator on the Google, you will even probably see my house. Okay, so now about my DATV equipment. I'm using right now the Portsdown 4. By the way, excellent project from Dave and BATC. It's combined with the Jensen Nano boards. It's doing all the encode process. Then it's connected to Lime SDR. Basically, it's scrolling all my information, but then I connect to a small driver that includes bandpass filter, 2.4 GHz, and then before the final PA, I have a bridge capable of give me about 500 milliwatts in the ATV. So then it goes to the Nokia PA. It's a UMTS. It's modified just on the two transistors. So I didn't remove the input filters, so I think I can give more power, but it's enough for the moment. It's stable. Temperature is okay, so for the moment I will leave it that way until I have more experience. Then I have 1.1 meters with potty. On the receiver side, it's a 1.2 meter offset dish, LNB with 2 outputs and excellent receiver, the interhill receiver. So to see the picture, I'm using on my 22-inch HDMI monitor. I'm using another SBC. It's a Tinkerboard from Mauser's. It's older than the Raspberry Pi 4, but with the right firmware and a special script will activate decoder by hardware, and it's more powerful. I can see four streams of the beacon without stressing the board. And another reason is because it's not doing nothing here. It was for another project, and I didn't finish. Okay, so on the ports down, I modified a little bit the code that it's sent to the Jensen Nano. So I was fighting with the GStreamer command to encode with overlay text, but I couldn't do it. So I changed to FFmpeg, and now I can do it overlay, and also a flag of my Azores, and also a scroll on the bottom. So it's now much easier. It seems stable until now. I've lived in these 4 hours and it seems stable. And okay, so that's my setup for the moment. Okay, I think it's enough for the first time. So I will pass the transmission to GU6 AFB, Kate, I believe. Yes, okay. So transmissions is with you. This is CUTED that will go into standby.
Yeah, very good evening to you there, Jacinto. Very nice to see you on the net this evening. Excellent video from you. I've seen your images before in the previous weeks, and yeah, very, very good indeed. Well, there you go, Mike. Postman's been, and I've also got a second one of these now. So I'm going to modify that one fully as per Jim's instructions. I'm using one of those boards now, but I haven't got enough heat sinking and cooling running through it, so it gets warm. But I think I've got an answer to my heatsink problem. As you can see, it's blooming heavy, and it's a rather large piece of aluminium. Put it back on the chair. I don't know how much it weighs, but I've got about 6 or 7 of those. They came out of a UPS at work, which was being dismantled, so they were going to go in the skip. So yeah, I liberated them to the back of the car, and yeah, they're in the shed, and one of those I'll use to cool that PA. The aim is to water cool them, just waiting for the CNC machine to turn up. It's apparently being made ready to ship. It weighs about 4.5 tons, so it's got something like a 32 horse spindle motor. So yeah, going from one extreme to the other. Like the look of your CNC there, might be interested to know what that is, because if it's any good, it could be useful for having here in the shack for doing front panels and stuff like that. Anyway, let's put it round to Nigel, many on the net this evening. Nice to see so many. So Nigel, 2E0 H, round to you.
One, two. Just make sure I've got audio. Oh yeah, I'll switch that off now and go on the transition. Good evening, everybody. I've seen quite a few on the net this evening. I've got the OBS working. I think Martin, I managed to get it going using the with the software and the OBS. I can transition now. But the camera I'm got is just a normal camcorder, and it seems to be dark. As you know, as soon as I switch off, because I'm going through a. Let me just show you. I suppose it'd be easiest. I've got a shack. So that's what I'm using the OBS. Where is it? Yeah, I'm using the audio as through a HM Mini Pro switcher. So that's where I can do all the. See, camera don't seem too bad there, brightness I don't think. But I suppose it's probably because I don't know. I might have to put a bit more light on the shack when I transmit. I don't know if I can put. It seems. So try to avoid ceiling light. Yeah, a bit dark. Yeah, I see. Could be. And then I just got to. I'm just trying to do experiments. It's gone off. I've lost transmission. I don't know if you can still hear me. I'll have to catch Sean the other time. I don't know what I've done. But I'll cut Sean messing back to Martin.
No sign of Tony there. I did notice another signal popped up further down the band. So I'll take a quick over, Tony, then I'll put it round to you, and then after you it'll be Rob, M0DTS. Then it's back to the top of the list. Anyway, excellent turnout tonight. Thank you all very much for doing that. And great to see you, Jacinto. I don't know if that's the best DX we've had on the BATC Net yet. I think we have had the occasional non-G station, which is always a huge pleasure. And if IK1 HGI, if you're watching, then yeah, please come up and say hello. We don't mind if it's in Italian. I think Mike speaks fluent Italian, don't you, Mike? Possibly not. Anyway, all very good. I'll quickly run through some notes. The new Portsdown looks great, Russ, and the picture quality looked pretty good to me. And well done for booking Dayton this year. That'll be good. Gareth, yeah, good to see you on tonight. I wonder if you've got another microphone switched on when you go over to your pictures. Because when you go over to your slides, the audio goes a bit echoey. So it's almost as if you've got two microphones running on that scene. Dave, EEV, yeah, you've seen, Noel, you should have been on time. I thought the trains were wonderful. I'm afraid I'm one of those who quite likes the train videos. And Colin, you must keep us all posted with how Windows 11 is going. I've heard some not horror stories, but I've heard of some amateur stuff that is difficult to get to work on Windows 11. But if you haven't found any, and I think you probably run most of it, then I'm tempted, because my computer is continually suggesting I update to Windows 11. Jim, G7NTG, if you're watching, I do hope you recover very quickly. I spoke to Alan today, G8TQK, who's come down with COVID as well. But he seems to have had a or seems to be in the middle of a pretty mild dose of it. So hopefully yours will be over and done with very quickly. Mike, that CNC machine looks great. I don't know how big the tools are. I guess with an 1/8 collet chuck, I think that's what you said. Then presumably they're quite small. But be very interesting to see what you create with that in due course. And those heatsink boxes look wonderful. I did see a note from you somewhere earlier, I think, saying that they're in Devon somewhere. So we'll just see how we can organise shifting those. And I made your amplifier output 63 watts, which is about what Jim said it would be, isn't it? So that's very good. Well done on the flight to Glasgow, Richard. And extremely well done on the 6 GHz spectrum analyzer. Yeah, you'll have to keep us posted with how you get on with that. And Jacinto, I'd be very interested. I have a Tinker board, which I bought a long time ago. I don't know if they may have improved them since then. I think mine's got a 90 megahertz clock, which and lots of memory, which compared with the Arduinos I was using at the time was pretty amazing. But I'd be interested to know where you got where you found the firmware or the the software for the TV, or whether you wrote that yourself. But that'd be very interesting to know. And it's always good to see people with a bit of free time. Yeah, my amplifier, Keith, has not arrived yet. I think I'm hoping you ordered yours before mine. So my version of that amp hasn't arrived, and that's one heck of a heatsink. I reckon you could cut that in half and still have plenty of heat sinkosity, as it were, and don't get a hernia heaving that thing around. And Nigel, great to see you on with OBS working. Well done. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get in touch this week, but it's been one of those weeks this week. Mainly having to deal with my mother, who had a few issues at her house. And yeah, maybe if you put that camera up on a shelf, or a bit higher up, so it's facing down. I mean, this camera is very dark as well, but I've got mine slightly above and looking down from the lights which are above it. But lighting is not my forte, as you can all see. Right, I don't think I've got much else other than I've got several clocks going now, but I think probably most of you have seen those. Oh, and I can't find. Oh, I have found the unsteady cam. I'll give you a quick glimpse of the clocks before I push it round to Tony. Not that one. That one. There you go. So 3 rather nice carriage clocks, French. Well, the left-hand one's actually got an English movement. The other 2 are French. And there's a big horrid 1970s mantle clock, which does actually have a beautiful French movement in it, but it's not going on my mantelpiece. That's one of my mum's clocks, so that'll go back to her in due course. Right, okay, well, the list has changed very slightly. I'll put the latest list up in a second on the chat, but now it's going around to Tony, G0AZQ. And Tony, if you could put it round to Rob, Mike 0 Delta Tango Sierra. I've slipped him in just before Russ. So G0AZQ to take it with the BATC Net, G4FKK standing by. Yeah, it's not a problem, Tony. Well, it is a problem. You're running 250 kilosymbols, 250 kilosymbols, and you've probably got your receiver set up for 333 because that's what what the rest of us are using. So I'll tell you what I'll do at the moment. I'll put it round to Rob, Mike Zero Tango Sierra, and Rob will put it round to Tony after when you've finished, and see if he can add a few kilosymbols to the 250.
Ooh, I'm going to have to change that test card, aren't I? Yeah. Well, yeah, D4, right. Everything seems like it's working. Right, good evening everyone. Long time no see. Well, I have seen you all, but I haven't actually been on the net. Comments on things. I'll say hello to Jacinto. We've spoken many a time via email and things with the early DATV stuff, so nice to see you on the net. Yeah, that amp, quite interesting, Mike, that amp. We get so much power out of it. Sounds quite interesting. Don't think I'll be bothering to get one, so I seem to have enough amplifiers and things to be getting on with. The one I built that I'm using at the moment is the dual device one, and that one's built to be fairly easily transported from the shack setup on the big dish to be able to run that portable. So I might be able to beat Colin in to QO100 from portable on a Thursday night maybe sometime. So there's a challenge for you, Colin. What else was there? Yeah, I hope you're okay, Jim. Hope we haven't not having too bad a session with that. CNCs, yeah. I'll show you my setups that recently hasn't had a lot of use, but let's see. Did I load that picture into the right folder? Oh no, there we go. Right, bear with. Desktop. Alright. So let's just move that. Right. Oh yeah, you're gonna get it. So that's my CNC setup. It's CX2 is the milling machine. I've had it about, I wouldn't like to say how many years now, quite a few. I'm just checking, we've still got audio. Yeah, we've still got audio. Yeah, that's it's a modified one. I got a kit from the States, basically with all the bracketry to add the 3-axis onto it, and it works quite well. I've got I replaced all the lead screws with ball nuts and things, so it's fairly accurate, but yeah, it has its limits. It hasn't got much travel on the Z-axis, like front to back, so it's a bit limiting on certain things you can do, but small kind of intricate jobs perfectly fine. So but yeah, so that's how I've got it set up. I've got water coolant. Well, I managed to acquire a coolant pump from work that they were getting rid of, so I've actually put a tray, a sand pit it was advertised as on Amazon, but a tray underneath, so it actually got cutting fluid on there now, and it will cut steel a little bit better now, so that's quite interesting. So that's that setup. I don't know whether I've got anything else to mention. Windows 11, just go for it and do it, Martin, should be fine. I run a lot of different bits of software, and there's not much that doesn't work. Very, very little that I've found, so it's usually a workaround. The only thing I did here, there was the The RTL SDR dongles don't work, but I haven't actually tried to install one yet, so I'm not sure if that's still a problem. So I'll tell you what I've been working on within 2 or 3 minutes. I'll try and keep it short because there's quite a lot of people. So I'll go back to here. So I've been playing around with light communications again, and basically I've put a small light beacon away in the distance, about 10 kilometers away. Let me just check that's good. Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, about 10 kilometers away in a hedgerow, I've been planting this little infrared transmitter, which just transmits a 1480 hertz tone, and basically from home. So that's a picture I took from looking outside the shack window. In the distance, it's on the hills that you can see there, and then just to the right of the circle, there's like a where the tree line meets a green grass field, and that's a road along there, and that leads down behind those thick conifers in there. So basically the beacon is right behind those trees that you can see. That's the location of the beacon, so it's totally obstructed optically. It's obviously scattering around there and things like that, but I'm able to pick up the beacon. I wouldn't say very strong, but it's detectable within seconds usually. So yeah, I'll show you what the beacon actually looks like. Let me do that. So that's the beacon. There's a little bit of complexity to it, but that's just for frequency stability. So right on the left hand side, right at the end, stuck on a little bit of aluminium plate. I'm not sure whether my mouse pointer is actually coming through on this. Is it? I'm not sure. I'm not watching my own video, so I can't quite tell. Does the mouse pointer come through? Oh yeah, it does. Okay. Right, so yeah, over here there's I think it's a 1 watt infrared LED, so it's 850 nanometers. That shines through a infrared filter lens, well not a lens, but infrared filter on the end, just to dull it a little bit so no one can see what's going on. There's a GPS antenna, GPS receiver, little Arduino Nano, and some power supply and control and things. And basically it just transmits a tone at a particular time of the day, like on an evening it's transmitting after like 6 o'clock for like 8-10 hours or something like that, and it varies every 20 minutes. There's 3 different power levels, so it puts 100 milliamps of current on the LED, 50 and 10 milliamps roughly, and I can detect the signal at all those power level settings. So 10 milliamps onto an infrared LED at a distance of 10 kilometers away, obstructed, I can detect the signal, which I think is absolutely amazing. But, so there you go. There's quite a big lithium polymer battery underneath there. It's a 4.5 amp hour. So yeah, so that's the little beacon that I deploy. You can maybe see it a little bit better. I know I'm going well over my time here, but I ain't been on for a while. Anyway, there's the receiver. It's a Fresnel lens in a box. I need to rebuild this because it's getting a bit tatty, but and there's a sight on the top with crosshairs for alignment. You can see the back of it there, and you can see the hills in the distance, which is where the beacon is, and even the trees actually, you can see that quite well. At the focal point there's a receiver which is 4-pin photodiodes, just basic, totally basic ones, and some amplification and gain stages in there. That's what the 4 photodiodes look like. It's basically 4 diodes in a square to give quite a broad beam. This isn't actually necessary on this distance, but anyway, it seems to work perfectly fine. So yeah, and that plot there is kind of, it's just relative. It's That's basically the signal level in dBm on the receiver, but just ignore that. Basically, that's a plot for 6 o'clock in the evening until 4 in the morning the next day, and the signal varies by like about 8 dB or something like that. It rose up and then come back down. It's just one of the examples, but yeah, so lots of interesting stuff there. But yeah, receive a transmission from an LED with 10 milliamps of current over 10 kilometers, and it's not even line of sight, so I'm finding that rather interesting. Right, why can't I actually see? So anyway, on the other note, we got a new van. Managed to find one. It's very, very cheap. It's done 250,000 miles, but it looks rather tidy for that amount of miles. So so it won't be any red van anymore. So I might get my picture back in CQTV again soon. I think I've been banned before for excessive use, but so yeah, at the moment that's the insides of the back. It is all kind of boarded out already, but it's too low for me to actually sit in the back, and I'm banging my head on the ceiling. So I've had to take out the ceiling panel and then lift it up about 3 inches and refit it. Basically, that's what I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, new portable van will be revealed soon. So there we go. Anyway, that was an excessive over for the amount of people that's on. So I think I better pass it round to Tony. And I might have a little over right at the end, maybe, if anyone's got any, or 500,000 questions to ask. So, Q, over to you, M0DTS and the BATC Net.
Aha, third time lucky. Okay, don't quite know what happened before. That station came up, and DC2 or DL2JD came up at the same time as I did, but somebody mentioned about my symbol rate had gone to 250, so maybe I pressed some wrong buttons, and that was me that came up on the other frequency there, Martin. Inadvertently I'd stored that on preset 3. So anyway, we're back on, and thanks for the tip as far as that's concerned. Do a reset as far and go back to the beacon. And where Nigel was on, yeah, that was a rather dark picture, but I don't have one here, but the answer usually is to get a torch and put it just about there on your chin and shine it up on your face so you look like some ghostly image. So that's always something that you could try in the future. Anyway, main reason for coming on tonight is I've got a question, and I've looked all over the internet to try and got about 3 different things from Amazon and sent them all back. You know the little earpieces that you have on your mobile phone, so you can hear your mobile phone and you can also talk to the guy at the other end. They are Bluetooth. Well, we would assume they're Bluetooth, or work on 2 gigs or so. And my question is, can we get one that will work, something that will work with a microphone, not so much wanting the receive, but instead of having a microphone going through as I am at the moment, going through through an amplifier and into the USB port, have it so that you can have a transmitter receiver. It would be good if it worked both ways as well, and was able to have a situation so you could use an earpiece on the microphone side for transmit, and put that into either EY or a repeater or onto onto Oscar. I think everybody knows what I mean. And it was mentioned about clocks. There's that background, but as I think I've mentioned before, the pendulum stays still because I've got another one, which is a gravity one, which wind up each week. one chiming, the other one chiming as well. Suffering withdrawal symptoms at the moment because I had to put the Porsche into the garage to have some servicing done on it, new discs and pads and some other bits and pieces that was agreed to be done after I'd bought it. So I've had 3 weeks of using it, done 150 miles, but I've got to keep that down because I'm limited to 3,000 miles a year under the insurance. I'll get it back next week, Monday I hope. Right, I think it's probably round to Russ of G4 SAQ, who I've got next in the list here. And thanks for letting me in, Martin. G0AZQ in the...
Okay, G0AZQ in the group, G4SAQ. G0AZQ in the group. Just remember to mute the speakers, otherwise I'll get terrible feedback and confuses my brain as well. Okay, well it's been a great net tonight. Lots to take in. As always, I'm absolutely fascinated by the projects that other people seem to get up to. The CNC machine looks marvellous, Mike, and Rob, your machining facilities there look absolutely superb. My pillar drill is about 40 years old, Black & Decker arrangement. It takes a handheld electric drill and you stick it in this device and wind a screw down on the top of it, and that's about the best I've got, I'm afraid. My son has recently bought a brand new Bosch pillar drill, so I've been going around there to drill out the holes on the heatsink for my my amplifier, as I can do it more accurately than I can with my crude setup here. Other things to mention very quickly because I know we're running out of time. Yeah, Dave, the rocket loco looked absolutely fascinating. Amused about the soot and what have you from it, but it looked really good. Windows 11, yes, I've had one invitation to update and I've shied away from it. Very pleased to hear what Rob said about not worrying about it too much. Maybe I'll leave it another week and wait to hear if there's any further problems. Better safe than sorry. Yeah, Tony, I can't help you with advice about the earpiece stroke mic, so I'll leave that to other people who are more knowledgeable on those matters. Jacinto, I wanted to just say how nice it was to actually hear you on the air tonight. I like the Azores very much. I called in there on my boat on the way back from the Caribbean in 2004, and we visited 3 of the islands on that occasion. And because my wife hadn't been able to do the return trip with me, I went out to the Azores again in 2006, and we made our landfall in Santa Maria after a fairly horrendous passage at a force 9 blowing from behind for 36 hours, and we weren't very happy with that. But by the time we arrived in Santa Maria, it was absolutely flat calm, and we were met by dolphins. But we also, well, actually on the way from the Caribbean, I stopped at Horta on Fayal, as everyone does, and we painted our name on the harbour wall, and we visited Ponta Delgado on San Miguel, your island, and Porto do Harissimo, I remember, was quite lovely. So yeah, I've got great fond memories of the Azores. So it's lovely to hear you on the air tonight, Jacinto. Right, what else have I got to say? Thanks very much, Martin, for running the net. Jim, do get well soon. My grandson he's 9 years old. He's just got COVID for the 2nd time, and we're a bit worried that we're not going to be able to have a family birthday celebration this weekend because of that. Okay, that will do, I think. I've got to put it round to Gareth again. Yes, that's right, I'm sure it's Gareth. G4XAT to take it with the group. This is G4SAQ, and a very good night to everybody.
Right, G4XAT. Right, I think that's working fine. Right, please pop up on the thread if my audio goes awry. Okay, here's Polycam Central. Heat sinks, yeah, I think there must be something going round. This is we're going to get cut into 3 pieces for 3 different amplifiers, obviously. And that came from a solar inverter company that felt it was a shame to chuck them away. Right, volume a bit loud. Okay, try that. So I calmed it down a little bit. As long as it's not doubling up, I'll be pleased with that. I'll just transition to this picture and make sure the audio is still okay there. That's the water meter, which I put the stop tap underneath. I can't imagine the stupidity of either the waterboard or the kitchen fitters, because although the meter is wired with their anti-tamper, as you can clearly see, well, you could if you'd zoomed in on the picture, it's got 15mm compressions each end, and you could change it into something else with the utmost of ease. Anyway, we won't, because we're not crooks. This is the only 3D printing I've done this week. These are little tiddly brackets, complete with embossed text. That says 12.6 volts. And that's got a JST, not a JST, sorry, an XT60 RC connector. And that's going to fit onto the casing of the Toshiba amp and do the trick for me there. I'll just pick up the Oscillicam. That's my new shack monitor down the other end. It's a nice big telly, and it's got inputs galore, phono so I can run video card testing, 3 HDMI's and a PC input as well. I think its only fault is it's a bit old, so it's a bit power hungry. You can feel the warmth coming off the screen after a bit. Okay, quick one for you, Rob. I know you've got one of the Toshiba amps. I wonder if you've delved into what all the other pots inside it do. I've got the instructions on which ones to tweak to turn the attenuators off and turn the bias up and that sort of thing and set the standing current. It mentions there's an RF high and an RF low output. Alright, you're never taking the lid off. Well, I'll shut up. But just in case anybody has, I wonder if you could adjust the RF high output, because it goes off at 15 watts at the moment, and if the amp's capable of 40 watts, it's jolly going to well run it. Okay, loads of interesting stuff this evening. Absolutely fascinating, from the rocket replica and the smuts to all the other great things we've been getting up to. Should be around next week. A week after that, I think I'm back on finishing tiling and other stuff. The amplifier has just gone up a gear on fan speed, so that's time to shut up and pass it round. So, round to you, Dave. G4EV to pick it up from, no, not the water meter, test card, thank you, from G4XAT. Over we go.
Okay, right. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed the pictures of the train. Sorry, no, we'll have to wait another time for those. I'll put some more together. Interesting everybody's comments about Windows 11. I spoke to another amateur this morning, and he'd done the same thing, and it was all working. So that sounds encouraging, and we'll have to check out regarding the RTL SDR if that's compatible. Unfortunately, my PC won't run Windows 11, although I've heard that it is possible to install it if you do it in a certain way. Okay, Gareth, on the USB adapters, same as yours, I think. If I put it the right way up, the right way round. I've used 2 of those in a PC, and they do work independently. You can have VLC on both of them, but they do take a lot of CPU time. It's much better to use an IP input to VLC. Okay, what else? Oh, hello to Richard for the first time. You may have missed my appearance 2 or 3 weeks ago. Right, not much more to add here. It's been an interesting night. Nice to see Jacinto on. I think that's probably my best DX on here so far. So I'll say 73. Thanks for everybody coming on, and I'll pass it over to Colin now. G4KLB to take it. This is G4EEV.
For some reason, oh, there we go. Apologies for that. For some reason, better known to itself, that's the first time it's happened, but FreeStream Coder had crashed on me, which would that was an obvious thing, really. But it's never given me a moment's trouble before. In fact, it's usually minimised. Well, it is minimised. Right. Okay. Let's not worry about that then. I'll have to get back on there. Right, there we go. Okay, yeah, sorry for that. That's the first time. I usually just leave it running. It's run for many hours without any issues. But is it? No, this one is actually. Luckily, this one is running on a Windows 10 machine. Fortunately, so we can't blame Windows 11 for that one. But just as well, really, because we would have all been worried, wouldn't we? But no, this. I've got OBS. I'm not that brave. Not that brave. I've got still using the OBS on a Windows 10 machine, and that's got the Pluto on it, so that's all okay. Yes, all very interesting this evening. Very good indeed. I say I can't compete with all those carriage clocks you've got there, but I have got carriages. We've got carriages. Let's speed that on a little bit. But yeah, we've got some a bit more actually. I'm going to try and shorten this a bit. Yeah, we've got carriages, but no carriage clocks. But I've had to join into the train. I see someone else was putting up some signals earlier. I mean, you may not even be able to hear me over the glorious sound that the trains make. It does make a good sound like it's up there. Anyway, that's probably more than enough of that. But yeah, there's another one. Oh my goodness, it's becoming a. So that's where we were anyway. And oh look, there's a train. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, bring back the bunny. I know. Oh, look at this. Dear, oh dear. The British Railways. I won't make too much of a habit of this, but there you go. It had to be done. So yes, very good. Anyway, there we are. Oh dear. It's wonderful, isn't it? Really? Yeah. No door on that. Odd, isn't it? But, oh dear. Yeah, I know. Oh, Mike's. He's going to get longer now. There we go. Anyway, that's some video that I actually took myself. There we go. It's very popular. See, look at that. Fantastic, eh? But, oh dear. Anyway, there we are. That's oh, he likes it really. See, they do like it. You can't beat a bit of. Oh dear. This is a very long video, which I haven't. I've only put a couple of clips in to stay. There we go. Yes, there we go. Look how shiny that is, eh? A separate train net, yeah. Probably do a separate train. Oh dear, the steam. You can almost smell it, can't you? You can almost smell it. But, anyway, there we are. Ah, right, there we go then. That's it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know we probably need one. You'll have a look at the front and then we'll switch off. Right, okay, there we go. That's... oh dear. Anyway, there we are. That's... it had to be done. Okay then. That's it. That's probably all I've got. It's been quite a long one, so I shall say cemeteries and catch up with you all next time. So over to you, Mike, unless you've got any train videos. Cemeteries G4KLB.
Right, okay. Thanks, Colin. Not for all those trains. That was interesting. Yeah, I can give you more 30 hertz, Wolfgang. I will find a train video or something like that, because you know these sort of things happen. You've got to be careful because sometimes unexpected things can come up in videos. Anyway, I don't have much more to say. Apart from the CNC machine, I'll let everyone know how well that works or how badly that works. There are a few other things on the bench. One thing you'll see on the bench is the other end of that control panel. Oh, and I've discovered why it wasn't working. At least I think I have. I accidentally, when I did the I2C bus, I connected the termination resistors to ground rather than to plus 5 volts. And of course when you do that, it permanently locks the I2C, so that's why it wasn't working. That's interesting, my Polycom's just gone into auto turn off mode. I don't know if anyone else does that, but it very quickly turns back on again, so as you can see it goes back to what it was doing. It doesn't necessarily focus on it though, might eventually. Oh yeah, okay. What I was going to do was point it at... Oops. Hang on a minute. Point it at the appropriate Oh, no, not that way, the other way. The CNC machine again, so you can have a look. It didn't really come with very much, actually. It came with 4 what look like half needle files. Sorry, I'm on full zoom and that's why it's going so slowly. Give you a closer look at it. It's got a chuck. It's also got a method of operating it remotely or without having a computer attached. But it's got one of those chucks on it, and those chucks are, I think they're E17 standard or something. And the collet it comes with is 1/8 of an inch, but you can get other collets pretty cheaply. Oops, I'm not showing it, am I? I'm just showing me. Sorry about that. At least you didn't see the dodgy camera work. Those collets are readily available and they're not very expensive. So I've ordered some more, and I've ordered a 4mm one, and I've ordered a 3mm mill on a 4mm shank. The mill arrived almost instantly, within a day. The collets will probably take a few more days. So I haven't tested it yet. The other thing it comes with is a 1/2 watt laser. You can get them with 15-watt lasers. This sounds lethal to me, but there you go. I'll just zoom out a bit so you can see it a bit better. You can see if there's other things, including Alexa and a spare Icom radio, which I picked up at the CAT event. Very good, but I've not found anything to do with it yet. But for 140 quid, and actually if you don't want the laser, for 120 quid, it's not a bad deal really, I think. It might be completely useless, of course, but it does go left and right and up and down, so that's something. Even if you're only using it for marking out and just putting little dents where you're going to put drills, proper drills, I think it might be useful. So we will see. Of course, then the other thing is this huge learning curve. It's nothing simple. 3D printing's easy. You just get your STL file and you put it into the slicer and it prints it. There doesn't appear to be an equivalent for the what's it called? Additive machining versus subtractive machining. There doesn't appear to be an equivalent. I'm sure there is if you pay a lot of money for some software, but there isn't a free equivalent, so you have to start writing your own code or using very simple blocks, or try and learn Fusion 360, all of which are not very appealing. Anyway, I will no doubt speak to Rob and get his advice, and perhaps he can send me some examples of things that I can attempt to, well, it's not print, is it? Mill, I guess it is, I don't know, or etch, or whatever it is, root. I've seen some really nice ones that are much bigger than that and are much more capable. The problem with these is they're not very rigid and the motor's not very powerful. So you have to take it slowly, but I think you can do soft aluminium. You can't do steel or anything like that. Anyway, stop waffling and pass on to whoever it goes to be. No, it's not from AliExpress. It came from a UK company, and it came within 2 days. I think I ordered it on a Friday, and it turned up on a Saturday. More light on my camera. No, I don't think so. Exposure's about right. Pretty challenging though, isn't it, with all those lights up ahead. It's the it's quite a high dynamic range, but I don't know if that's coming through on the monitor. Anyway, yeah, that's it, Gareth. Mine was £143. It was the cheap one, and the company seemed reliable, and they were. So there you go. Right. Sorry, let's pass it round to Richard. Sorry, Richard, for the delay. Richard, I'm going to pass it round to you. Perhaps you can get ready now, just to make sure I don't catch you by surprise this time. GI4DOH, over to you. G0MJW.
G0MJW of the group GI4DOH. Yes, I was ready that time, a bit more switched on. Yeah, just making sure I can hear myself. Yeah, all fine stuff. Rob, it's good to see you. You really are covering both ends of the spectrum, from the low frequency stuff way up to infrared, and the rest all good stuff. And the talk about Windows 11, I do have one laptop which isn't up to it hardware-wise, and interesting that there might be workarounds for that, because I have, well, effectively two PCs and two laptops in daily use. I'm not keen to be using different operating systems on them, but you know, it's personal preference. I'm sure if I really had to, I could do that, and someday Windows 10 will no longer be supported, like good old XP and the rest. What else have I got in my notes? Yeah, Mike, the Fusion 360 thing. It was there are a few things in life where I've got and just not been able to do anything with. And Fusion 360, despite the experience that I've got with various and scripting things and all the rest of it, I just couldn't. I couldn't just get going on it. I had to sit down and do a series of tutorials to get enough of a foundation to get into it. And you know, it's easy what or not I've done that, and it's a great step up from Tinkercad, which I've been using with the 3D printing. But it was one of those things. I was totally flummoxed to start with. It just wasn't intuitive from my point of view, and there was nothing for it but to sit down and do the studying of the tutorials and build up the basics, and then build from that. Nowadays, if I hit a new feature or something like that, well, I've only one thing to learn. I'm not having to learn everything in one go. All good fun. So I don't want to hold it too long because we are a bit late. The other thing that I have been doing is my 2.4 meter 6-petal dish is now one continuous dish. It took me a reasonable way. It got dark yesterday and I had to give up and started again this morning, and it took me until the middle of the afternoon to assemble the dish. It's all in at the hub with little hard to get at things and trying to line them up. The fact that it was a second-hand dish, you know, things, yeah, it's not quite new. First year, I think everything had been in place together, so it shouldn't have been so difficult. But I just happened to just holding something up to the camera there, which is rather silly. I have to go to the camera. I have this 13mm spanner, or half of, which dates back to the 1980s when I had an Austin Ambassador twin-liter or 2-liter twin carb thing, and there were SU carburetors, and to get the carburetors off, you couldn't get a spanner in to get at the nuts between the two carburetors, so I had to cut that spanner in two, and I was very glad of that today when I was trying to get those nuts tightened up in the center of the dish. So a bit off getting the dish actually mounted on the tripod, but my very low noise 23cm amplifier is coming on little by little. So it's not a good week for the moon anyway. So hopefully by the time I get all this put together, the moon will be appearing at reasonable times. And also had the fact that it was previously a 3-leg mounting for the feed point, and I need 4 legs, so I have to make a few little brackets and changes like that. All good fun. So bit of hardware just to keep my hand in on that. All good fun. So I wish you all 73s. I'll be giving next week in this because it's our local radio club meeting, but hopefully be there the week after. So 73s to all. Good to meet you, Dave, for the first time, and also Jacinto. Nice to meet you, and my first QSO with the Azores on BATV. through Q100. So I'll pass it round to you, Jacinto. CU2ED with the BATC Net. This is GI4DOH. 7-3s all.
Okay, thank you for the comments. I appreciate it. Hello, Rob. Nice to meet you too. Hope everything is well. Okay, Martin, about the Tinkerboard, it's the first model. It's the one comes with the micro SD card socket, and the operating system I'm using, it's dedicated. It's with specific kernel, and it's dedicated to video stream using the, let's see if I spell correctly, a RBM, it's a universal operating system. It's a good way to reuse. In fact, I have two. It's a good way to reuse these boards, and they work just fine. Okay, I have here the OBS, but my computer here in the shack, it's an old one with no encode possibility with the graphic card. It's old. For that, as many of you probably have, I have the Chinese H.265 encoder box, but I do have problems with audio. I do have some ideas to work around this situation, but I decided to use here for the first time this the BATC ports down 4. So that's why I'm running here. Next time, I hope I use the OBS, and that way I can show you guys some picture from my equipment. It's everything is still in a mess because these have been stopped for a few months. The Interhill receiver is still out of the box, so I have a lot of things to do if I still having free time. Okay, so probably I will appear in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and I hope to show you some pictures. Okay, so that's all. With that, I will pass transmission to GU6E FB and 73.
One. Yeah, okay, Jacinto. All copied fine there. Thanks, Gareth, for the information on one of those CNCs. I think I'll stick an order in there for one of those tomorrow. It'd be worth having here to play with. Yeah, look forward to trying that, and it should be, if I don't buy the laser and take the VAT off, it's going to be a very cheap unit indeed. So yeah, we'll see what we can do with that. Martin, everything here is Windows 11. I ditched Windows 10 some time ago, so this here is OBS running on Windows 11. The free streamer works, everything works. IPS into ports down works. I use it with SDR console for voice on the narrowband transponder. It does work with the RTL dongles. I've never had any problems. I've just plugged them in, run this Zadig software, and it just all works. So no problems with that at all. And tonight I'm running the Pluto and feeding that straight in from OBS with no free streaming encoder or anything. That's just a signal straight in from OBS straight into the Pluto and up onto the satellite, and that's all working really well. Quite pleased with it. Jim, get well. Hope yeah, you're not feeling too bad. And yeah, Rob, I like the idea of the beacon, but I've got a bit of a problem. 10 kilometres in either direction from me, it'd have to be waterproof because it would be in the sea. But it did make me think about putting a beacon on Herm Island and firing it back in my direction. Could be quite a bit of fun, so I'll have to see what we can do with that maybe in the summer. And one other thing I have been building, I've built a 23 SEMS preamp, and yeah, that all works very well. And yeah, fired up and aligned and everything first time with no problems at all. So that was a nice little project. So that all worked. Yeah, like the look of the spectrum analyzer there, Richard. So I'd be interested to hear how you get on with that in the coming weeks. And yeah, I've also got one of those little HDMI dongles like everybody else, and they seem to work well. Plug them in and they just go. Yeah, I don't think I've forgotten anything else. So round to you there, Nigel. Oh, trains. Yeah, I love trains. I really enjoy trains, but unfortunately we've got nothing over here. Yeah, just for a bit of fun. That's the closest I came to trains, and that was Christmas, running around in Denmark. So yeah, that was the closest I got to anything like a real train. Anyway, round to you then, Nigel. 2E0 EHH to take it from GU6.
Sorry, caught me on the hop there, Nigel. G2E0EHH G4FKK. I was getting no audio from you that time, Nigel, but no one else mentioned it, so perhaps it was just me. Anyway, excellent, all very interesting. And Rob, I like your kit modified milling machine with the oil feed. It reminds me when I started at Marconi's as an apprentice electronics and communications engineer. The first thing they did was stick us down the pit, as they called it, which was the training centre for the craft apprentices. So there was lathes and milling machines and guillotines, and I was not impressed at the time, especially when we were all lined up because we were student apprentices, so we were all lined up against lathes. There was about 10 in a line. And we watched all the crafties, all the craft apprentices. They were leaning on the wall, just looking. And then our instructor said, right, boys, switch on your lathes. So we banged the big buttons. And, of course, the crafties had adjusted all the oil jets so that we all got soaked, which, of course, they thought was hilarious. So it put us off. Funny enough, after doing a few weeks down the pit and then ONC, HNC and a degree in electronics, the only thing I've ever used in all my training and learning is what I learnt down the pit. And I hated it at the time. Anyway, there you go. And I'm very impressed with your infrared camera, infrared transmitter. I'll make that 1 kilometre per milliamp so far, Rob. So you'll have to knock that QRO power down, and the new van looks very good. Tony, if you're still watching, I've noticed with the Ryde, if the channel you're watching is unoccupied for a short while, the Ryde tends to lock onto the adjacent channel, which is why. And it's difficult with the remote to put it back because it thinks it's already on the correct channel. So if you go to the beacon and back again, that seems to cure it. I thought Richard might have something to say about the Bluetooth question you put there, because I know he runs a Bluetooth headset, and I think Roger does as well, G3IUZ. Anyway, I'm sure someone will help with that. And you'll be looking forward to Monday when the Porsche comes back. And I can't believe you've done 150 miles in it and already gone through a set of pads. And don't tell me they weren't brand new when you bought that, Tony H.I. Russ has gone. The Force 9 to the Azores sounded a bit perilous. I'm surprised Mrs. SAQ put up with that. Yeah, I thought your audio was still a bit phasey when you went to the pictures, Gareth, but it might just be, I don't know, it's something, it does sound like there's a bit of phasing on it, but that could be just my ears. Yeah, thanks for some more trains there, Colin. That was extremely fine business. I have got some train videos somewhere, but they're not dubbed down onto the PC, so I'll spare Mike those for the time being. And okay about Mike putting the pull-up resistors down to ground on the I2C bus. Yeah, that doesn't help. Anyway, well, hopefully we'll see that demonstrated either on Tuesday on the HV Net or next week, hopefully. I don't even know what Fusion 360 is, but it sounds like another steep learning curve. The 2.4 metre dish looks brilliant, Richard. Excellent, in fact. And Jacinto, yeah, thank you ever so much for coming up and expanding the BATC horizons on the net this week. That was great. And interested in the what you've got on the Tinker board there. I'm duty bound because I'm standing in for Dave, GKQ today, to say that would make a really good article for CQTV. So if you get time, perhaps you could knock an article out for the in-house magazine, as it were. And Keith, I'm glad Windows 11 is working. I'm sort of half tempted because, as someone was saying, eventually they'll stop supporting Windows 10, and probably by the time they do that, they'll be charging money for Windows 11. And at the moment, my computer's constantly nagging me to do it, so perhaps I ought to try that. Beacon on Herm looks nice, sounds nice. And, yeah, I guess you can see Herm from your QTH. And the 23 SEM preamp looks excellent. And I'm sure Noel would have been extremely impressed with the trains that you showed there. I don't know why my picture's flickering, by the way, but maybe the Polycom's about to shut down. Right, well, that's it. I'm going to close the net now, but don't let that stop anyone coming on. I'll put it round to you in a minute, Rob, so that you can have a second go. But for the time being, thank you all very much for coming up. Thanks to the various authorities who let us use this Wonderfuel satellite. And hopefully we'll see you all or more or others next week when Dave is safely back from his luxury holiday. So with that, I'll say 73 to you all, and just put it round to you, Rob, for any final. M0 DTS and the BATC Net G4FKK. Cheerio.
Let me just pop in there, unless Rob's gone over the top of me. No, it doesn't look as if he has. So, okay, thanks very much, Martin, for letting me in, and sorry messing it up for earlier on. Yeah, you're quite right. I was on the wrong symbol rate because I tried it just to make sure the audio was okay. And thanks for the tip on going back. Typical, one of those situations of the ride which I didn't know about. So we all learn these things, and as they go. So thanks again, and yeah, no, I hadn't worn the brakes out. I'm sure you realise that I'd taken the car on, and one of the about 3 things that I'd said to the guy was put these things right, but I'll have the car in the meantime, and when you can get it back in. Fortunately, he's a salesman at a garage and has access to the engineers that are there. Right, okay, 73, and we'll catch you again a little bit later on. Over to you, Rob. M0 DTS.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. No problem. You'll have to have a run up and meet us with that car you've been getting. That'll be interesting. One of the next times I'm out portable. Very good. Yeah, apologies, I've kind of been a bit distracted the last 20 minutes because I've been talking to Clive, G4FEP on 2 meters here. Just having a bit catch up for I've been at work the last 4 days, so we tend to have a post work catch up. I haven't actually done anything, but I don't get a chance on 12-hour shifts. I don't know how Colin comes home and then does a 3-hour net on an evening after that. I really don't know. I can't do it. Then obviously just not dedicated enough. Then again, yeah, I basically do work and I do radio. That is my life, really. But anyway, yeah, your CNC mic, it should be quite capable. It's just a matter of speeds and things. I have to slow mine down quite a lot. It won't chew away at the metal particularly quickly, and it gets itself in a bit of a mess if you try and do that. But yeah, yours should be good at, with the smaller cutters. You're going to get a lot more RPM off that cutter than I can. I can only do about 2,500. So if I put like a 3mm cutter in and run it at 2,500 RPM, I have to go pretty slow with it. I just can't go fast enough, really, because the cutter speed's that slow. I could do with another one mounted on the side, or change the spindle to something that would run a lot quicker, and it could speed things up a hell of a lot. But yeah, that would be good. Yeah, you're right, Malcolm. That's the first time, basically, I've got to that point. I've always been clean shaven all my life, so there we go. Now that's peer pressure from work, that. Right. Oh, I'm just getting lazy. Got to midlife and getting lazy now. I don't know. Maybe that's it. What else was I going to mention? Oh yeah, the other project I was on with. Oh yeah, here's a question for everyone. Let's see. Let's just bring this up. Desktop. So this is a. Hang on. Press that button. This is the issue. I'm not got a the locking nut key, how you would say it, for the van. One didn't come with it. There's a lot of things that didn't come with it, I must admit, but it was cheap, so that was that. But I didn't get a locking nut key, and basically doesn't seem to be any way of finding out what the code is for the locking nut key without having the owner's manual or some sort of information that came with the van. And obviously these have not been off for a while. So anyway, I took a picture of it, imported that into Fusion 360 into the CAD software, scaled it up, and then traced it out with the drawing tools on there, and then converted it, put it into my other bit of software I use for the milling machine. I don't use Fusion for the cam part of it, for the actual cutting. I use another program I'm just more familiar with. And basically I've cut out the locking nut key out of a bit of steel on the milling machine, and it looks acceptable. It fits the nut. I just need to like harden it and weld another nut on the end of it so I can actually try it out, but hopefully that should solve that problem. So that's one use for a milling machine. So that was quite interesting. So yeah, little side projects and things. But anyway, the other let's just see if there's any comment. Won't park my car near your house. I'm not quite following there. I'm with you. Sorry, yep, I'm with you now. Just I'm caught up. If that feels well done, well, yeah, that is it. Yeah. Who actually steals wheels or alloy wheels these days? It's not really a thing, is it, anymore? Don't really see it. Picture is it? Yeah, diesel, 2 litre diesel. This one, it goes better than the old one, which is measly 1.9. But anyway, yeah, it wasn't the best of fit, I must admit, but it goes in, and I think it should work. So yeah. So the other interesting project is, because we've been playing with optical. And let's just make sure, yeah, I've got the right thing. Optical, and playing around with filters on the optical path and things like that to reduce QRM, because you get QRM on all bands, don't we? So basically, this sensor unit, the little module here, is it's actually a CCD. It is a camera, but it's only got 3 lines of pixels, and each line has got 10,600 pixels on it. So it's quite an interesting little device. And you used to find them in scanners, copiers for computers, like your desktop flatbed scanner sort of thing. And you can acquire them out of there. So I've had this thing quite a long time. And there was a project online that came out maybe 10, 15 years ago, where a guy had used it, written all the code, and you could basically use it as a sensor for a spectrometer, so you could look at the optical spectrum, basically. And I thought, I want to do one of them, so I acquired the sensor, but I never ever kind of got it working, and this one behaves a little bit differently, so I thought it's time to have another go. So dug out the sensor. I managed to find the data sheet, so I made up a PCB to mount it all in with the signals that I needed. Did I take another picture of that? I'm not. No, I didn't. Okay. Anyway, there's another picture there which shows it attached to an Arduino, which was struggling just a little bit. But basically, I put some black insulation tape on the sensor, so that it just illuminates the center part of it to as a test, so I can see there's a signal halfway along the pixels. And this is what I got on the oscilloscope. After I'd got all the clock timing signals right and what have you, you can see there. the thick band is the noise, just noise from the pixels. We've got a big spike. It's inverted, so just to confuse things. So yeah, so we went from there. Made a little enclosure, temporary enclosure. So I've got the sensor in the middle. We went to the Raspberry Pi Pico because it can clock a hell of a lot faster than the Arduino. Lots faster. I'm quite impressed with it actually. It has the analog voltage that comes out of the sensor. So it comes out as an analog thing. It's like a shift register with an analog output for the basically the voltage on each cell. It spits out on the end. So the analog to digital converter on the Raspberry Pi Pico reads in the voltages per pixel when it clocks it through, and then the control signals for the clock and everything, and that goes down the USB to the computer. On the left hand side you can see that's a mirror at the moment, but it's got a diffraction grating on the front. So, and then on the bottom left I've got a slit, so there's just two sharp blades on there. So you fire the light through the bottom, goes up here, bounces off the diffraction grating and splits into the spectrum of light. So you get your blues and ultraviolets at one end, and whichever colour you're getting, the reds and infrareds up at the other. So it splits the spectrum basically onto the sensor, and then you can read the sensor to find out what spectrum's coming through. So basically spectrum analyzer for optical. And then on the computer software you will get something like that, and that is red, green and blue light from my mobile phone LED on the front. So it's a white LED and you got a red, green and blue mix in there. I haven't done a lot with the software side of it yet. It's functioning, but I need to lift up the sensitivity and things. So yeah, that's what I've been playing around with as well. So multiple things. Don't know how interesting that was, but there we are. Yeah, so I hope you found that interesting. I'll come back onto here. You can do the same thing with a camera sensor on a Raspberry Pi or something like that. All the software is there to do it, but I had that little module and I wanted to make it work, so that was that. And it was quite an interesting one. So clocking signals on writing a bit of code for the Raspberry Pi Pico and things like that. I've not actually used one of them before, so that was a bit of a learning curve. And I had to go down to the low level to get the clock speeds up. Tried it in Python and it was just way too slow. That's like the standard code that you use on the Pico, it seems. So, but yeah, you can do quite a lot with it. It's a dual core processor as well that's in it. So I'm sure you could generate a TV signal with that. It'd be a bit of a fun project for somebody who's a bit more DSP orientated. So yeah, but yeah. Nice old technology going into a new project, so I thought it was quite good anyway. Anything else? Anything else? No, I've actually got that optical beacon on the other camera. So we go to that one. There's the beacon. So we've got Mark 1 at the top. There's Mark 2 at the bottom. Mark 2 is actually more interesting. Well, sorry, Mark 1's actually more interesting. It worked perfectly fine. So Mark 1 is all tagged onto a bit of cardboard, just double-sided sticky foam. There's the GPS on there, GPS receiver, the Arduino Nano, 5-volt regulator. That one on the end there is like a battery cutout with a P-channel FET. Because you don't want lithium polymer batteries going flat. And on the back, that one, there's another FET there which is like your on and off for the LED, and then there's 3 transistors that are like the source. It's switched source current for the infrared LED. so it varies the transmit current. So that was it in a black plastic bag with a lithium polymer battery chucked in the hedge, and the LED was stuck on the end here. So that was revision 1. Then I did a little circuit board, and then that's how that one came out. So you can see on the end, that's all you can see if you're looking in the hedgerow. It's just a little hole in the end, that's where the light comes out of. So there's just an LED, no extra lens or anything at all. So it's amazing really how yeah, a milliamp per kilometre is pretty cool. So, yeah, so we're going to be doing some higher power tests in the near future. Cardboard aided design, yeah, that's totally it. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we've been quite busy really, but unfortunately I'm working the next 4 weeks on Thursdays, so I won't be on. So farewell, and we will catch you all next. Well, hang on, when will that be? If we look at, third. Oh, it's going to be into March before I'm back on, so I'm sure I'll have more to talk about then. So that's it then. Apologies, I missed part of it before, so I've probably missed some more good stuff. More trains, I think. I think Colin showing some fire and water and steam and things. So yeah. Right, 7-3 everybody, and yeah, we'll see you in a few weeks. M0 DTS, clear of the BATC net. Good night. And I'm going to have to change this test card because the red van's there, isn't it? So I'll have to have a new one. 7-3 all.
So Gareth, I thought I'd just come on. That's it's actually silver plated. I've got a couple of 3 of them silver plated. They are, how long are they? About 15. Oops, where is it? About 15 centimeters. So I promised I'd show you it tonight, and that's it. There you go. Yeah, Justin, I've been telling you to read my forum post for the last 3 weeks. If you read it, it tells you how to do the frequency extension on the Rev D board, which is different as an additional command. So read that, and that will fix it. Quick update on GB3HV logic glitching on the stream. Where's the giblets, Noel? Where's the giblets? The giblets. Don't know what you mean. There's no giblets in there. GB3HV logic. So the HDMI switch glitching, I've managed to cure it by putting one seamless switch after another. So the first switch does the switching, and then the second that fixtures that then goes into the second switch, which presumably acts as a bit more of a frame buffer and fixes the glitching. So there we go. Cavity giblets. Yeah, it's an expensive route, Rob, but it does fix it. So gonna have to see what else we can do. But there we go. Okay, I think that was they were the 2 points I really wanted to make. I'll talk to you later about this, Gareth. I have got a couple with the giblets as well. So yeah. If you toggle the new switch, does it glitch? Yes. Yeah, it seems to. If you toggle the switch that is after the main switch, between the main switch and the encoder, it does seem to glitch. Yeah. Yeah. So the oh sorry, yes. Yeah, the one from Amazon was as bad. So yeah, I think we've got a little way to run on that, but there we go. Good, right, okay. It is now, believe it or not, 10 past 10. Well done, Martin. I think this is the longest BATC net we've ever had. And you had the Azores come in, and you didn't forget to bring Mike in. But yes, that's very true, Rob. I think that's probably right. Anyway, I couldn't say good night without this. So good night, everybody.
I'll put it on.